Hi guys, my name is Basit Balogun. I serve as an executive research officer for ThinkCyber Nigeria Kaizen program. As cyber threats evolve, many industries find it increasingly difficult to keep pace with real-world management. That's why we created the Kaizen program, a continuous hands-on learning series that bridges the gap between theory and practice in today's cybersecurity landscape. In this episode, I'll be walking you through a captured the flag series. Together, we will break down key phases of penetration testing, including the enumeration phase, gain a foothold, privilege escalation, and real-world vulnerability prevention tips. By the way, if you're looking to level up your cybersecurity career, ThinkCyber Nigeria next semester training kicks off on the 25th of August 2025. This advanced program offers real-world labs and simulations, specialization tracks in penetration testing, SOC operations, and digital forensics, a pathway to Tier 2 professional readiness. This program is for everyone, whether you're a student, graduate, or tech-driven professional. This is your opportunity to stand out in the global cybersecurity job market. Applications are now open. Join the next elite cohorts. Let's dive in.
Now, starting with the machine breakout, this is the IP address and other information about the system I was able to gather. I started with using the command net discover and I discovered the IP address for the breakout machine. Then after discovering the IP address, I did a full port scan for the IP address along with service version, and I found 5 open ports. I found the port 80, port 135, port 445, port 10,000 and port 20,000. Then after discovering these 5 open ports, I then started enumeration of each port, starting from the port 80. Then I started with the enumeration of port 80. I called the page running on the index.html, and then I examined the source code and I found an encrypted string at the bottom. Then I decrypted the string and I found a password which I saved for later. I also did some further enumeration using GoBuster, but I did not find any other code. Moving on to the other services, port 445 and port 139. I used Enum for Linux to gather more information about the system, and I found the users cyber and the users nobody, and the user nobody. And then I also found I used the found username and password to connect to the SMB shares with SMB client, but it did not work. So I moved on to the enumeration of the last 2 ports. Then I visited the page. I visited the pages running on the port 10,000 and the port 20,000. I tried to log in with the found credentials on port 10,000, but it did not work. Then I tried to log in with the credentials on port 20,000 and I was able to gain access. Then at the bottom, I examined the page running on port 20,000 and I found a console at the bottom of the page which I was able to use to run commands to discover more information about the machine and try to gain root access. Then the credentials that finally worked on the page were the username cyber and the string I found previously and decoded. Now, upon entry, I found that there were 2 files in the home directory, which were the tar and user.txt. User.txt was a flag, while tar was a Linux executable, which I found out using the file command. Now, I used getcap command to get the capabilities of the tar binary, and then I saw that it had the cap-dark read search capability, which means that it can read any file regardless of permissions, and this was a major breakthrough in the root privilege escalation of this machine. I created a reverse shell from the target machine to my own machine using Netcat for easier execution of commands. I then enumerated the machine manually, looking through folders and directories for anything suspicious, and when I got to the /var/backups folder, I was able to find a hidden file .old_pass.path. Then Upon finding the .old_pass.pack file, I created an archive of the file and extracted it in order to gain access to the contents of the file. This creates a copy of the file which I'll be able to access since the tar binary file had the ability to read any file in the system regardless of permissions. Now, upon opening the file, I found a strange. Upon not able to use the string to log in successfully as root.
I would recommend the following. Never store sensitive credentials or private keys in accessible web directories. Ensure to always log down sudo to only trusted binaries and avoid allowing script execution as other users. And as always, patch and adding your system against known privileged escalation vectors like the pip_gt techniques which we used in this case. Thank you. As for recommendations, I would advise for you to always disable unnecessary services such as username and webmin which were exposed there. And if they are required, I would advise for you to add in them. Basically adding the security running behind these services. Avoid storing plain text or weakly protected credentials, especially on source code of web pages, and also perform audits regularly. For these CTF, I would say the language scaler should regularly patch to prevent 35 exploits. Thank you.